Hello there, guys. Welcome back to my channel for yet another player ratings live stream. But the first ever player ratings live stream following a Champions League bloody semi-final. And all my days, I think all of us are in similar minds at the moment. Of course, as you can see, I'm joined by both Scott and CFCPys. I want to introduce them more thoroughly in just a second. But I think every one of us is kind of in this one kind of state of mind where we're like, brilliant, really good results. But it could have been so much more. It could have been so much more in that first half. I mean, Scott's face tells me maybe he doesn't quite agree. But, you know, I've seen a lot of people that have agreed with that statement because we had those chances in the first half. We could have been like 3-0 up, like really comfortably. We could have been so easily up. But it wasn't to be. It wasn't to be at the end of the day. It was a 1-1 draw against Real Madrid. Sadly, not played at the Bernabeu, but at that training ground, the Alfredo di Stefano stadium or whatever, with one of the craziest rain showers I've ever seen in my life on a football pitch. Like, them Real Madrid players were playing wet T-shirt contests all over the shop. It was a bit of a madness. But, you know, PGTV and that. Anyways, there's a lot to discuss. And I will say again, I just said it a minute ago, Blues fans TV already. Just think about where we were 4 months ago. And the fact that we're here now, and you'll just be mind blown. Like, it's how we're here right now, how we have literally the advantage going into the second leg of a Champions League semi-final against the record champions of said competition is ridiculous. But again, like I said already, first of all, of course, we are joined as always by our partner in crime for these player ratings live streams, Mr. CFCPys. First of all, Pies, how are you? And how was that game for you?
Yeah, to be fair, I think I'll just say first and foremost, like, I always look at it from, you know, before kickoff. I mean, if you used to say, would you be happy with a 1-1 before kickoff, I'd bite your hand off for that. It's just the fact that obviously we were, I think we attacked more than we expected we would as fans in this game. I think we thought it would be really tight. And obviously because we had those attacks where, you know, Werner missed a chance and a couple of the final balls were off, I think some people are slightly annoyed, but I mean, for me, we've got an away goal. We're very, very good at Stamford Bridge in terms of solidity. You know, even if we win 1-0, you know, it'd be perfect next week. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with the result, to be fair. Obviously, we conceded, which is never ideal, but you know, I thought we played very well tonight. I really did. I expected a much more tense and nervous game, but actually, I found that we were very good on the ball. I thought we were very aggressive, and I thought we matched them completely. I don't think this is a team to be scared of next week. I really don't.
Oh, you're muted, mate.
I am. My laptop was kicking off a little bit, so I tried to mute myself while I'm not talking. I do apologize. What I was going to say, we're also joined by Scott, as you guys can see, who has been joining us a lot more often recently, which I massively appreciate. And we're getting his thoughts today as well. But first of all, just a quick summary. First of all, how are you? Hope you're well. And secondly, how do you feel about that game?
I'm pretty good. Second half was a bit dull to watch. It wasn't necessarily boring in sense of like the football being played. It was just nothing really happened. I've got to be honest, I'm not especially happy about the result just because this was a game we needed to win. I still feel as though with a 1-1 draw, it doesn't tell me anything. Yeah, we got the away goal, but that means keeping Real Madrid out for 90 minutes, which, considering this is a Real Madrid with no Ramos, no Mendy, no Valverde, Kroos and Modric potentially not fully fit, not in their natural formation, and they still scored. And they could have had a 2 or 3. Benzema shot it in the post. They had a Varane header late on. This was a game for me where we needed to be scoring at least 2, possibly 3. I know that's a big ask for Chelsea, but at least 2 to take it. And then, you know, only conceding 1 or conceding 0, hopefully, to take into that second leg. Because I just think trying to keep Real Madrid out for 90 minutes is a big ask. And if they do score, that away goal means nothing all of a sudden. And especially with the stuff we'll get onto, the Werner misses, chances he had, other moments, I feel as though I wanted a win before the game, and coming after the game, especially after the first 30 minutes, I'm a bit disappointed with how the whole thing went.
To be honest, I see why you're saying that. I don't think you should be as worried about them as you seem to be. I know you make a fair case, like Ramos might be back and Mendy might be back. I don't know what the actual fitness updates are, whether they're likely to be back next week or not. Valverde probably is. But
I know the only doubt is Ramos. Mendy will definitely be back and Valverde will definitely be back.
I mean, I suppose they can never be certain about Valverde. I suppose they'll have to see how badly he's affected by,
That's
to see.
true. I know Mendy definitely will be, but Ramos, they're saying might be. The commentators apparently were saying that he should be back, but he's the only doubt. But even that, I'm like, I can see them just trying to find a way to fit him in.
I mean, you're not wrong with that, but I still don't think we should be that worried about them. I mean, we kept them to one shot on target. I know the Benzema hit the post from distance, but hey, he had his 1 in a million strikes there, and it just about didn't go in. that's my presumption from that shot. And I know the Varane one, but he just headed it against Chilwell, and then from Chilwell it nearly went in. I mean, obviously, lucky things can always happen, but they can happen both ends. Like, I still think we need to be happy that we have that away goal. It's a crucial away goal, and it puts us in a good position. Like, I think it puts us in a good position because I think we're more than capable of keeping Real Madrid out. Real Madrid haven't been free goal scorers this season, and even as of late, they usually score one. Half the time, they don't score any. That's why they have so many 0-0 draws. In the last 4 league games, 3 of them have been 0-0 draws. So, like, do you know what I mean? Like, they aren't free-flowing, scoring every game, doing whatever the bloody hell they want. That's not how Real Madrid are. They're good defensively for the most part. But to be honest, like Scott and Pi said as well, we should have scored 3 or 4 today. We really had those chances, and not always the chances of what we actually had to finish. But we had such obvious and easy transition moments, but just one good pass, and we're literally through and goal, not even really having a goalkeeper in the way anymore. And that was just frustrating. That was really, really frustrating. We'll talk through the team today. But before doing that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. That'd be massively appreciated. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. So whether you're watching this live right now or later on once this has turned into a video, be sure to subscribe. The more of you that subscribe, the quicker we can get to 10K. Smash the like button. Let's see how many we can get. And I'm saying this many times, but YouTube loves likes. Do you know what I mean? So if you smash the like button, YouTube will think, this must be brilliant content. And it is, obviously. But if you click that, YouTube will understand that and it will show it to more strangers. And that's how content creators grow. So please smash the like button. Use the super chat function if you fancy that and want to support the channel that way and want to make sure we discuss your comments. But aside from that, enough waffle. Let's get into the player ratings. And obviously, we start in goal. By the way, lineups. Not really much to discuss, but I'll put it to you guys in a second. Exact same team that we fielded against West Ham. In hindsight, Azpilicueta right wing back wasn't the best idea. I don't think Tuchel expected Madrid to kind of mirror our formation to some extent, or at least go 3 at the back. I don't think he would have played Azpi at right wing back had he known they would play 3 at the back. But what do you make of that? Let me go with you first, Pice. What did you make of it when you saw the lineup?
Honestly, surprised that there wasn't a bit more rotation. I mean, to be honest with you, I thought he was going to keep pretty much the same team, but I thought Ziyech would have played over one of the front 3. Even though I didn't really agree with it, I want it, but I don't know why, but I just thought, with Pulisic's injuries and stuff, could he do, a game against West Ham and then a game 2 days later? I mean, that was the one sort of question for me. And also, James should have 100% played over Azpi, in my opinion. I think even on the goal, I think Reece James would have won the header. Azpi didn't, so I was a bit disappointed to see that James didn't play. But hopefully he plays next week. And I mean, just expecting a lot of rotation now for Fulham, especially in the front 3. Ziyech, Havertz, probably. Maybe Hudson-Odoi, hopefully will get a game as well. So, yeah, just rotation's key from now on, I think. But, I mean, we had a lot of the ball today. We did work hard, but we did have quite a lot of the ball at certain times. So, I don't think it was the most intense game ever, but I'm sure they're all still knackered because... yeah, it was pretty much the same team, wasn't it?
It was, to be fair, it was. But Scott, what about you? Did you expect more rotation? Obviously, we didn't speak pre-game, but I was in the preview with a couple of the guys yesterday. I was discussing, I didn't want Azpi to start right wing back, but I said it kind of felt like this was a trial against West Ham to maybe use it against Madrid, and seemingly that was the case. But what did you make of it?
I think that I agree with you. I think the West Ham one was a trial, but I think if that was a trial, I think anyone could have told Tuchel that it didn't work. And lo and behold, it didn't work again. I think that's the experiment over, or it should be. it's not to say Dave's a bad player, that he's not. It's just he doesn't have the legs. And I think that's the thing. We saw even from Madrid's perspective with Marcelo, where there were times where he was getting caught out a lot as well. And he's a natural like left back in terms of getting up and down. Whereas Dave's not. Like, he hasn't been that sort of player for years now. Even under Sarri, he didn't look comfortable doing that. So I'm not surprised it didn't really work. I'm glad Tuchel changed up in the second half, brought Reece on about 60 minutes or whatever it was when he brought Ziyech and Havertz on as well. The front three I wasn't too mad about before the game. Obviously, after the game, we can say whatever we want about Werner and whatever. But before the game, before the game, I was querying it in terms of I thought Havertz maybe should play. But after seeing how Madrid was set up, I was happy with it because of like Werner and Pulisic having the time with balls over the top, having time to score and whatnot. But I think before the game, the lineup was okay apart from Azpilicueta. But after the game, I think there was the Dave thing, Werner starting. I'll be honest as well, I don't think Mount had a particularly amazing game. I understood why he was in the team and why he stayed the full 90, but certain decisions, I think taking Pulisic off and not bringing Hudson-Odoi, I think was a wrong decision as well. But yeah, there's a few things in the game in terms of the lineup that were a little bit off.
That is fair. I mean, the Timo Werner one, we'll get to that later on. It's with how Madrid played, who else were you really going to play? For me, in my head, I was expecting this front three or Ziyech instead of Pulisic. I just wasn't sure how Tuchel would feel. Would Pulisic be able, like Pais touched on it, would he be able to handle playing 2 games within 3 days, and obviously 2 big games? So that was really the only thing, plus Aspi, of course. And yeah, I mean, I had similar feelings. I didn't think it was brilliant against West Ham. I didn't think it was absolutely shocking. But again, I think we wouldn't be saying how dreadful it was with Aspi had Madrid played a 4-3-3, because then we would have just had their right side tucked in. But because he was then up against Marcelo, which is, they're kind of both very slow at the end of the day. So it's kind of like it was just this 2 old players just somehow playing in a Champions League semi-final at wing back, which probably neither of them understood how they got there. But, it happened. And then kind of Aspi was kind of struggling a little bit. But it's a weird one. I don't know. I still probably would have played him at right centre back rather than playing Christensen there. Even though Christensen was good, I still probably would have played Aspi there. But enough waffle about the lineup. We've been going for 50 minutes and haven't even done any player ratings. Let's go do that right now. Let's start with Edouard Mendy, who, I mean, he can't do anything about the goal. I mean, you could maybe argue, for the header back in, should he come for that? It was in his 6-yard box on the edge of it. You could argue that, but I don't think he did anything wrong. So he gets an average, 7 rating from me. Caught a couple of good crosses, maybe 6.5 or something.
I'd have probably gone a 6 just because, he didn't really have anything to do, as he said. And I think there are a few other people, who not necessarily were better, but just did more to deserve a 7. But I'd say a 6 just because, he had nothing to do. He couldn't do anything about it. The goal, right, as you said, that was the only shot on target. He just had nothing to do. Really had nothing to do.
It's difficult to really rate a goalkeeper's performance when the opponent has 1 shot on target and he catches 2 or 3 crosses. But Pais, what about you? Would you agree with the 6, or I don't know? Would you push it to a 6.5 just for the sake of it? Really?
No, I'm happy with a 6. To be fair, I mean, the only thing I would say, I thought he was quite good on the ball today, which I thought in other games that sometimes he looked a bit shaky, but I thought he was actually quite comfortable, especially as well with the conditions. People can meme rain or whatever all they want, but it still was probably pretty friggin' hard for them out there. So, yeah, he did quite well, I think.
A question that I have for both of you guys. Do you think that the Bernabeu would have had significantly better drainage than this training ground?
They have a roof. I swear they have a roof.
No, that's what they're building right now. The normal Bernabeu doesn't have a roof.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Because I already saw the Clásico here. And that was also raining like this. And that pitch was a mess as well. Everyone was slipping every 2 seconds. I swear in England it rains more than in Spain. But I've never seen players slip as much as I did today. Especially Pulisic and Mount. They loved a good slip today. I don't know what happened.
As well, to be fair. There was one, Werner went to press and he literally just slipped over.
Exactly, yeah. True. But you know what I mean? Maybe just it would be understandable if a training ground wouldn't have as brilliant drainage as the big Santiago Bernabeu. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean.
It's a difficult one, I suppose. But let's get to the 3 centre-backs who, To be honest, I thought they were all brilliant. I don't think you can really do much about it, except, of course, the goal we conceded. Because let's not ignore here, first of all, it's another bloody short corner. I think it's the fifth short corner we conceded from this season under two different managers. I don't understand how we can be this bad at it. It's like a Grizzly against an Ant. Whoever the team is, doesn't matter whether it's bloody Sheffield United or Real Madrid. They play a short corner, you score against us. It's ridiculous. Pisses me right off. But we lost 3 headers in succession in that. And 2 of those were our centre-backs. So we can't go give crazy high ratings. But outside of those...
Actually, I don't think any were, to be fair. Because I wouldn't say... The Militao one, I wouldn't say was. I think Pulisic was marking him. And then I wouldn't say with Benzema, I'd just say he was... Maybe you could blame the positioning, but I wouldn't say it was a case of losing the header. I just think it was a case of once that Militao header happened, there was nothing we could have done from there.
Of course, positioning, but don't give Benzema that much space in the first place. If you have Thiago and Christensen around him,
if I'm blaming anyone for that goal, it's either Azpilicueta for not winning the header against Casemiro, or it's whoever was closest to Marcelo. Because Jesus Christ, man, you let him look up,
Kante,
look down,
actually.
look up, look down. He went up, down, put ball in. Like, he had so much time to know exactly what he was going to do. So whoever was closest to him deserves the most amount of criticism for us conceding that goal.
That was actually Kante. Werner was the closest to Modric, and then Kante was the closest to Marcelo. So it's a dodgy one. But anyways, let's get to the ratings of the 3 centre-backs. Let's start with Andreas Christensen. I would just drop my initial rating in, and I would say the other 2 are probably somewhat similar. We kept Real Madrid at their place to 1 shot on target. We can't give low ratings here. I think Christensen deserves an 8, maybe an 8.5. If you concede just 1 shot on target against Real Madrid, I think you have to drop them high ratings for the centre-backs. Price. What would you say about that, Christensen?
Yeah, I thought all 3 were very, very good today. Very, very solid. I thought they dealt with Benzema well. I mean, in the goal was... I heard some people say don't let him turn. I mean, what do you want him to do? Like, boot him in the face? Obviously, he's going to... You know what I mean? Like, as soon as Benzema chested that, I was like, I said he's going to turn volley and score. He scored so many of the same goals, so I can't really blame any of the centre-backs, to be honest. There wasn't really any mistakes, in my opinion anyway. They were all very good on the ball. And, yeah, good defending as well. I remember one instance where someone tried to play a through ball and Thiago Silva just stuck a leg out and intercepted it. And I'm dead sure they were scoring from that because I think Benzema was 1-on-1. So
Christensen had one like that too, actually.
Yeah, there was a couple like that, but I saw Silva stand out for one because I remember I was like, oh, Silva, that's brilliant defending. So, yeah, to be honest, I was thinking give them all 9s, to be honest, because I thought they were very, very good.
I personally, it's tough. It's weird because I don't know if it's a little bit because of Aspi, but I think Thiago Silva and Rudiger deserve a tad higher rating than Christensen because I think nothing happened from the right, and whenever we were on the threat, it was always from the left.
Yeah. For me, I would give Rudiger man of the match from the whole game. He got the assist for the goal from a very nice through ball. He was brilliant the whole game, defensively solid. There was a moment where I think it was Chilwell or someone got beaten, and he just slides across the box to put a block in. Yeah, for me, he was our man of the match from the game. Like, I know people will say Kante, and we'll get into that later. But yeah, for me, he was our man of the match. So I would probably go. Oh, fuck, what would I go? I'd probably go 7.5, 8.5 going from right to left. Because I agree with what Pys said, or Laurenz, you said where I think Silva and Rudiger were slightly better than Christensen, but I think Rudiger was slightly better than Silva as well. And just because the assist as well.
To be honest, I wouldn't be totally upset with the assist. I kind of forgot that is fair enough to give him an extra tad. How about we do 8, 8.5, 9 and give Rudiger the 9? How would you feel about that, Pys, especially with the assist for Rudiger as well?
Yeah, I was just going to intervene and say I completely forgot about that assist. It was a great ball. And yeah, as well, Rudiger's just been so good under Tuchel. It's been amazing because really he was like one of the ones that people were saying we should sell, under Lampard and before he wasn't really rated by anyone, really, was he? So, some rated him, but a large majority didn't really care if he was going to leave or what. He never really played, but under Tuchel he's been amazing. So yeah, I think he does deserve a high rating.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, given an 8, 8.5, and 9 is totally fair. I mean, the whole back three were brilliant, hence why I slightly disagree with Scott. I think anything with 7 just is not justified of how good we were as a defensive team today. And so I think the 8, 8.5, 9 is very good. Then we get to the guy that probably gets the lowest rating of the. Maybe Timo. Yeah, I forgot about him. Then second lowest rating on the pitch today, probably Azpilicueta. He just struggled. I mean, it took him an hour to start stretching his hamstring. He looked absolutely shattered. But also, and that was my kind of criticism after trialing it against West Ham, I was like, he's like, what, 32, 33, whatever he is. And now you put him within 3 days, twice in a position where he needs to run like 3 times as much as he does as a right centre-back. So I didn't really understand this logic full stop. If he trialed this against Brighton, absolutely fine. And then see how that goes and then use against Madrid. Sure. But not against West Ham. Like, just against West Ham, play the 3 centre-back, sure, but play Reece. And then if you really want Azpi at right wing-back, do it today. But not West Ham and today. Because I think that made Azpi look worse today as well. But it wasn't a good day for him, was it?
I think as well, is like it's fine trialing him for West Ham, but as I said earlier, anyone could have told you that trial did not work. Like, it just didn't work. So why are you trialing it again? Why are you doing it again? And again, it didn't work. But yeah, I think, oh man, I'd probably say a 5, just because like maybe a 4, but I don't know if he was that bad. But
4 is harsh, I think.
That's fair. But yeah, 5 then.
Yeah, exactly. What about you, Pies? Because I see Fantasy PGA Tour in the chat saying 7. Well, by that logic, we have to give Mendy at least an 8 if we give Azpi a 7. So that can't be happening. So 7. People saying loads of 7s. Where's this? See, I mean, just to clarify how at least, well, I know myself and Pies get to the ratings, and I assume Scott does roughly as well. You start off at a 5, and then if you do good things, you get plus points, and if you do bad things, you get not negative points, right? Or minus points. And then you can't possibly give Azpi a 7 because he was better than average.
No, he got beat far too much as well. Like, that's the thing. Like, you could say that he might have been decent in this moment, like defensively, but then he also got beaten in other moments defensively. And you can say, oh, but he had this good pass, but then he also had a pass that he put out of play or was poor. So that's why I say a 5 in the middle, because he had good moments and bad moments. It was just a very average game.
Exactly. I'll give it to Pies in just a second. I would maybe push a 5.5, just because half of those times he gets beaten, it's just because the other players are quicker than him. And I'm like, can I really blame Azpi for being slower than Vinicius Jr.? And it's not Aspi's fault that he got picked to play there. Like, what was he going to do about being slower? The same with Fredericks against West Ham.
Someone's put it perfectly. He was at fault for the goal. He let Casemiro get that header across.
That is true. That is true.
He let Casemiro bully him and didn't get the header across. So,
to be honest, that puts me back down to a 5 as well. Pies, what about you? What would you give Azpi? Or would you even go lower than 5?
Yeah, to be honest, I was going to say 4. I thought he was really poor. 5's a sort of average rating for me, and I don't think he was average. I thought he was poor. So, knocking him down, I think, especially the thing you said about pace and stuff. I just want to say, Thiago Silva's slower than Azpi. Do you ever see Thiago Silva get outpaced? Because I don't. It's all about positioning. You know,
but Thiago Silva plays central centre-back. I'm sure Azpi wouldn't get outpaced there either. Or not as much anyway.
Well, I don't know, man. I think it's all about positioning. I just think...
Obviously.
I don't think he was... I think he was very good, especially on the ball. I don't think he was good either. And obviously the goal, he got out-jumped. Reece wins that. So...
I think
it's not his fault that he's not tall,
that's theoretical.
No, he 100% would have won that, in my opinion.
Casemiro scores so many heading goals. He's good in the air.
Reece out-jumped Dan Burn in the air, who's 6'7". So, like, I'm sorry, but I'm arguing against that. So, for me, I don't think he was very good today. And what you said about, like, why he played and stuff, totally, I think Reece should have played. But I remember Tuchel saying, like, asking why he plays Azpi so much. He was like, I always want to have him out there, and, you know, he's the leader and stuff. So, and I think Tuchel's got a bit of a dilemma as well, because obviously we can see he really wants to have, you know, Rudiger, Silva and AC all out there. So, you know, he's put them out there, and then he's thought, well, would I want to have my experienced captain, whether or not it's the right choice for the fans, or do I go with, Reece James, who seems logically the better option, but he's just gone with his captain and the experience. So I don't know. Some managers are like that, man, honestly. But hopefully he doesn't play right wing back again, because clearly he hasn't got the legs. I mean, I saw someone post a tweet of, saying Vinicius versus Azpin. It was Montero versus Ivanovic. That's just giving me flashbacks of that. And it was just a mismatch, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, that's the weird thing for me. Like, I understand the concept of Tuchel wanting his captain and Aspi in there, especially at this, level of a Champions League semi-final. But I just don't get it at right wing back. Like, if he has this debate, Christensen's Aspi, and he's like, okay, but Aspi's the captain and I want that experience in there, fine. At right centre back, I don't think he would have been that bad. I don't think it would have, been a significant difference in the result today. But at right wing back, I just don't get it. I just don't understand how you would play over Reece, honestly.
No. And I think that's the thing. And I think as well what Pice was saying about like what with Thiago Silva is Aspi can do that as well, but that's when he's at centre back, when he's got time to like look at all his options, assess the situation. He can see someone come in. He hasn't got to worry about someone running in behind. Like, he's got time to make all those decisions, and he's very good at that. Playing at right wing back is different because you're slightly further up the pitch. You're going to get guys running in behind. You're going to get like overlaps and people moving constantly, and it's not as easy to assess the whole situation.
Also, he's meant to press, so he sometimes has to catch up, which Thiago Silva as the centre back is never a position he will ever be in.
Yeah.
But still, I think with what all of you guys have said, and kind of Scott was thinking of a 4 as well, Pice as well. I've pushed it up for the 5.5 because I would have still given him a 5. But that's Aspi done. Not a great rating. I'm very interested if we're actually going to end up giving Werner a lower rating than that. We'll see.
We will. Trust me, we fucking will. We will. Don't wait till we get to Werner. Ooh, boy.
Off we go then. Off we go, so we get there eventually. Ben Chilwell. Ben Chilwell, I think, had a good game. I think he overall did good. I think he had a couple of moments where he, got, I wouldn't even necessarily say beat, because at some point it's like, if the striker moves in between the centre-back and the wing-back, it's difficult for the wing-back to do much about that. But did Carvajal ever do anything all game long, which was his direct opponent? No. So for that aspect, Chilwell did really good in that man. The one thing that frustrated me was his cross that got intercepted, which led to the corner from which we conceded from. I know, obviously, we can't put the goal on Chilwell now, but it was one of those transition moments where we could have done so much more with it, and he seemingly didn't get the ball off the ground. I don't think he attempted to play a low cross, and the defender just slid in and just blocked it, and they started that counter-attack from which they got that corner, from which they scored. So, not amazing, but I still think he had a good game. I would probably give him a 7.5. Pice, what about you?
Wait, you guys lagged a little bit. Who was you on about?
Chilwell.
Oh, Chilwell. Yeah. 7.5/8. I think another solid game. Thought he was quite good going forward. I mean, the only thing I noticed, a couple of the cutbacks. Obviously didn't go through to the man like it did West Ham against West Ham for Werner. So hit the first man a couple of times, but overall a solid game. So whether or not you want to push it up to an 8 because of the defensive performance as an all-round, or you want to keep it 7.5, happy with either, to be fair, but I thought he was good.
I mean, I do see this comment by Yusuf, and I do think we are being a bit harsh on Aspi. I will say this.
I think we are.
But
bro, if it was my personal rating, I'd give him like a 2, but I'm just happy for a 4 for the stream.
Fair enough. But Scott, what about you for Chilwell?
I'd say there's a reason that their attacks, basically, the majority came down the left-hand side, because they knew they could attack that side. Whereas with Chilwell, there was a couple of attacks, but there was nowhere near the amount that there were against Azpilicueta, and that speaks volumes of where Madrid wanted to attack. Benzema kept moving all about everywhere, and he kept moving over to the left-hand side. It's the exact same as the Liverpool game.
He does that every game, to be fair. Like, that's just what Benzema
the Liverpool game, the first leg, he was doing the same thing to help Vinicius against Trent, because Trent was getting caught out. So they know where to attack. So they were, you notice they kept going over and attacking the left-hand side. With Chilwell, I'd say he had people are going to get onto me when I say this, but he had an all right game. And I don't mean that in a bad sense. Like, it was a very solid game. I thought it was a very, similar to Mendy in a way where he didn't do anything wrong. He didn't do anything spectacular, but he didn't do anything wrong. It was quite a solid performance. It was quite a average. Seems like a harsh word, but like just a very good performance.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like a solid performance, just like what you'd expect. It's almost like what we see from like Jorginho most of the times, where he might not do anything spectacular, but it's just a good performance. It's just making sure you do the basics right. You're solid in your positioning. You might not do anything spectacular. You might not score a goal, get an assist, or whatever, but you're not beaten really. You're always an outlet for people to pass to. So I think I wouldn't say a 7.5 or an 8 because you're getting up towards players that I thought were very good in the game. I'd say like a 7 for me, just because I thought, as I said, didn't do anything spectacular, but also didn't do anything wrong. Was fairly good.
To be honest, I think it's a fair assessment. I think overall we didn't give him that 7.5 to compromise between the three of us. Probably makes sense then. And then we get to Jorginho, where I'm very intrigued about what you guys have to say, because I think Jorginho and Pulisic as well are that one tad beneath the two man of the matches for me, which were Kante and Rudiger. And I think both Pulisic and Jorginho were just that tad below. In terms of, obviously, if I'd have to pick a man of the match, I don't know. But in terms of, I'll give two the same rating, and just, do you know what I mean? That's just how we do it. For me, Jorginho gets an 8.5. I think Jorginho was very good. I think he won a lot of important balls. The one moment where Werner had a shot where he could have turned on a shot straight after the turn, but took too many touches again early in the second half. Jorginho won that super high up the pitch, and he just controlled it so well. He never misplaced the pass, an important one anyway. Obviously, that cost us in terms of, them attacking. Obviously, not all of his long passes were perfect, right? But he attempted them more in the second half, which was a bit weird. Real Madrid sat a lot deeper, making the long balls much more difficult. But anyway, I think he had a great game. I honestly think he had a great game. I was very impressed, and surprised is maybe the wrong word, but very impressed by how I think we won the midfield and how everyone kept hyping up Kroos and Modric and Casemiro. I think we won the midfield. And obviously a lot of that goes down to Kante, but I think Jorginho was absolutely brilliant as well. Let me go with you first, Pys. What rating would you give Jorginho? What did you make of his performance today?
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought he was very good. I just seen something as well that actually Jorginho covered the most distance throughout the whole game, more than any other player, which is pretty incredible considering that's something we usually associate with Kante, and Jorginho's not the fastest, so for him to cover the most ground out of anyone is pretty mental, to be fair. So, yeah, I thought he was very, very good on the ball. Every time they tried to press us, kind of sucked him in, and then there was a lot of times where we did the triangles, like triangle combinations to get out of the press. He was involved in that a few times. Yeah, he was very, very good, and just another top performance from him. Honestly, I'm not surprised. I rate him highly. I know some fans don't really like him, but I don't know. That's up to them. But for me, I'd give him an 8.5.
8.5. Scott, what about you? You didn't seem all in complete agreement with my explanation, but hit me.
I'd agree with that. I think the thing with like Jorginho that people get onto about, like, especially with this game, is like he's too safe. But it's like you can't concede if you have the ball. Like that's the basic thing.
That's his job. People keep thinking as if he plays as a number 10 or a number 8. No,
it's not even that.
6.
It's
his job to be safe.
The basics of football are you can't score, you can't concede when you have the ball, unless you score an own goal. And that's the thing. It's like that's where in area, like even in like today, there were areas where he was better than Kante, because Kante, while he was doing good stuff in terms of ball recoveries, winning a ball back, also gave the ball away the most times out of anyone in the game. Yeah. So, and those transitions. If you're playing a team like, for example, a PSG, for example, who've got the players up top with the speed and creativity, they will hurt you. Playing Real Madrid, it's a bit differently because they didn't have the players, or they had one player, but he was ineffective today, where those moments will hurt you. But keeping the ball and being safe with it is not a bad thing, because it means you can't concede. And I thought he had a very good game. I echo what you guys say. I think 8.5 is a good rating. I think he was just solid. And that's the thing. He was just solid. Again, like Chilwell needed to do, he did what he needed to do, and that was about it.
I think that's brilliant. Fair. Then we get to N'Golo Kante, who is a very difficult player to rate for me always, because he was so good defensively. And Cesc Fabregas tweeted about him, and a lot of people were talking about it. And I saw one tweet which was finally someone put it into words that I can express, because I never really found the words to express how I tried to say it, because everyone always keeps going on about, Kante runs more than everyone and Kante is always there. Kante plays for 2 and runs for 2. I'm like, that's not actually true, because very rarely does Kante actually cover the most distance. I know Pi said that we associate that with Kante. 100% people do. But it's actually very often that Jorginho runs more than Kante when they play together. But what Kante is better at than arguably any player in the world, or at least up there with the very best in the world, is anticipating where a ball's going to go. And very few players ever have been as good at that as N'Golo Kante. And he just gets that ball. And he, considering he's so short, how short is he? 5'6", 5'7"? He can't be taller than that. He has legs like Tammy Abraham, even though he's like a foot shorter almost. Like, you know what I mean? But he gets those balls. He carries the ball up the pitch. He showed unbelievable energy today. The amount of sprints the man did was crazy. But then there was also the fact that he was closest to to Marcelo for that corner. And, we talk about we should have scored so many more. Kante had at least 2, if not 3 of those passes that could have been more today. Yeah. So I want to give... It's weird, because if we had a 15 max, I would comfortably give Kante, say, a 12, right? But if 10's the max, because Kante was still, in my opinion, the most outstanding player, but he still did things wrong. And it feels unfair on other ratings that we've given before and that we're giving today. If for the things that Kante did wrong, we just take 0.5 of a maximum off, if that makes sense, because people are talking about 9.5. And even a 9, I'm like, I don't know. I know what you will have to say, Scott. Let me, because of that, let me quickly go to Pies first, because I'm really intrigued how he has, if he has an explanation of how to, kind of rate the brilliance at the same time as messing up so many of our transitions. Plus, maybe if you want to be harsh, the whole not closing Marcelo down a bit quicker.
To be honest, on the attacker thing, I just thought our attackers' runs were just crap, to be honest. So, I mean, I don't really blame him for the bad passing. I mean, if the runs were better, I think we would have scored for them. So, yeah, for me, he was unreal. It reminded me of a similar performance to West Ham in 2017 at London Stadium. His dribbling was outrageously good. There was times where he was taking on 2-3 players. I was like, it just reminded me of that West Ham game, because he won every ball. He dribbled past everyone. He escaped the press so many times against Real Madrid. I'll tell you what, every time... this is why I'm going to give so much praise to Kante, because the one thing I always say about Kante is when he's pressed, he loses the ball so much. When he was pressed today, he did not lose the ball. His anticipation of the midfielders coming to him was next level. He's not usually like that. He knew everyone's whereabouts, man. It's just like he had a whole nother IQ for me today. And I just think to blame him on the attacker thing, I just think it's a bit harsh, because I just don't think our attackers' runs were very good. Poorly timed. It's different if you're talking about last week, because obviously it's a clear pass. But this week, I don't know. I think it'd be a bit harsh. And from the corner thing, I mean, I don't know. I just think we're picking at little things. I mean, he got the official man of the match, and I think he deserved to. So, for me, I think it was a great all-round performance. Twice he's got the UEFA man of the match now. So, I'm going to go with 9.5.
Fair enough. Scott, what about you? How would you judge what Pice said?
I would disagree. I think that the thing with the attacking thing is there were times when it's simple passes. There was a moment when he could have slipped Werner through, and I know it's Werner, and I know he probably wouldn't have scored or he could have missed or whatever, but at the very least play him in, because then you've done your job as a player. You've done as much as you can as a player to play someone through, and then it's up to whoever you've played it through to do what they need to do. And I think that the way I look at it, and I brought this up on Lewis's review, is if I win the ball back as a player, or if a player wins the ball back and then loses it, what have they achieved? If they win the ball back but then lose it straight away, or lose it like a little further up the pitch, they haven't achieved anything, because all that's happened is the other team's just got the ball again. And that's where I'd say that, like, yeah, he was good. His ball recovery was amazing, and like his driving up the pitch was good. But he lost the ball too often. His passing wasn't good enough, and I think in the system we're playing, either him or Kovacic has to be the midfielder that drives forward and is not necessarily the creative force, but gives the ball to the attacking players. And I think too often tonight he wasn't on it with the passing. And the thing is, we've seen it before. What was the goal we scored or the chance we had where he played the long ball? Fuck, what game was that? Where he played a long ball over the top and we scored from it. And it's like, so we know he can make these passes. We know he can do this sort of thing. Was it Liverpool? Oh, okay, that's what it was. That's why I'd say, for the reason why I'd put Rudiger as the man of the match over someone like Kante, or even Pulisic maybe, but we'll get to it. But definitely Rudiger, is because with both of them, they both had an amazing game. But with Rudiger, I saw no deficiencies in his whole game. Kante, I saw some deficiencies. As good as he was, there was still some areas that he needed to improve. Whereas Rudiger, for me, there was nothing he needed to improve on tonight. He was as good as he could have been for every part. Like, he wasn't at fault for the goal. With the goal as well, like, I didn't even know it was Kante, but someone has to close down Marcelo. If someone closes down Marcelo, they don't get that chance, they don't score. Or that chance. They don't score that in that whole play. So that's where I'd say, yes, he was good in areas like the ball recovery, as I said, and whatnot. But Rudiger, I thought, was better with everything, didn't have deficiencies. And we have to take these deficiencies into account, because otherwise they'd get a 10 for a perfect performance. And it wasn't perfect. Very good, wasn't perfect. So for me, people are going to probably say I'm wrong. I'd give him an 8.5 because I don't think he was better than Rudiger.
Too low, in my opinion. Way too low.
I'd move it to a 9 maybe, but I wouldn't give him any more than a 9, because for me, Rudiger was as good, if not better.
Yeah, I think 9 would be good.
I think in a compromise of us three then, because I would probably give him the 9 anyway, and Pice was saying 9.5, Scott was saying 8.5, so that kind of evened it out as a 9. And for me, like I said, Rudiger and Kante were the two man of the match, so that to me that's not too far off. And I see what Scott says there by Rudiger was closer to perfect than Kante, and that is, I don't think many people would actually disagree with that. But I will, and that's why player ratings are a bit unfair, because it's much more difficult to be perfect as a midfielder than it is as a centre back. Because other than the one over the top ball for Pulisic, which was brilliant and got us an away goal, sure, but other than that and that crazy run on the sideline late on, Rudiger didn't have much attacking to do. He did defending, and that is his main job as a centre back. That's why it's different to a midfielder who has more jobs. Hence why it's more difficult for a midfielder to be perfect, I suppose. But I think overall a 9 is fair, and I think everyone will be happy with that as well. And I mean, James, yeah, you can say Rudiger didn't have much to do. I think that's looking at it a bit too lightly. But let's just move on and let's get to Mason Mount. Let's see whether we have a disagreement here, because I think Mount had a good game, and I will tell you this now. I think that today why Mount wasn't as involved was instructions. I think it was very clear that Mount did not go as high up the pitch as part of the front three as he ever usually does, to make sure that we keep more of almost the midfield three at times, to almost stay much closer to Kante and Jorginho than he usually does. Hence why he wasn't quite as involved, which in some moments was disappointing, because when I saw Werner in some of those positions and him making those decisions high up the pitch, and very few occasions even Pulisic, I just wish it would have been Mount instead in exactly that position. He had that, obviously he got blocked in the end, but that shot in the second half where he had those two crazy turns inside the box to spin that defender left, right and centre. Obviously, again, the shot got blocked in the end. But still, those are the things that was kind of missing in the first half. And I thought if he was a bit more involved in the final output, I think we might have taken one or two more of the chances. But I think today was just instruction, hence why I'm not going to be very harsh on him. And my rating would be... Actually, I'm going to let you say it first this time around. So, Scott, what about you? Because you seem to be not saying he was bad, but just not as good as maybe usual.
Yeah, I think the thing was in the first half, I thought he was good because I thought it suited the way we were playing with Madrid having the slightly higher line, with them being open, with Militao being just the most bonkers centre-back I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Honestly, that guy's a nutcase. It's fun to watch, but Christ, he's a nutcase.
He's like Lucio. Remember him, the centre-back Brazilian?
No, honestly, he's like Zuma and Rudiger put together, man, with like how rash he is and just how like anytime anyone got the ball, like anywhere near that defensive third, he just ran at them. It's mental. But no, I think he was good in the first half up until like when they started getting a bit more into the game after the goal. But I think the whole team dropped off. The thing I will say, I think in the second half, I don't think he was needed as much because I think apart from the turn that you mentioned, he didn't really do much. And I think that was because of how Madrid set up. They dropped back a little bit. They were playing a lot more with the ball. And so I think that's probably the moment where you could have taken him off and put Ziyech on instead of him and kept Pulisic on, or put Hudson-Odoi instead of Pulisic. But yeah, I think that he was good. I just think that just because of the way Real Madrid set up in the second half, it wasn't the game for him personally. But again, that's not to say he was bad because I don't think he was bad. It was just like it's not. We're used to seeing performances like we saw against Porto or Liverpool or whatever, and so when he has a performance like today, where it's not quite as to that same level, it's like it sounds like we're talking bad about him, but we're not. It's just we've seen better, so you know.
Fair enough. And with that said, what rating would you give him then?
Probably an 8. Or I don't know if he was as good as Jorginho or better or a bit. Fuck. I want to say an 8, but I'll listen to other reasons as to why that might be moved up.
We'll see. Pice, what about you? What did you make of Mason Mount today?
Yeah, I kind of think the same. I think it's just because mainly we attacked down the right, didn't we? Because I just think nothing really went through him as much today. Like everything went down the right because obviously Marcelo, we was attacking that because that was where the space was. So yeah, I just don't think Mount was as involved. Not his fault, but again, it could have been instructions or what I think is because we was just going down the right. That was their, they had Nacho and Marcelo. So I think that's more natural. You attack down that side. Made more sense with Pulisic as well. And I think Kante was always doing dribbles down the right as well. So I just think when Mount has games like this where he's not, the one driving us forward and he's not the one creating the chances, it seems like he's had a bad game, but it's not that at all. It's just, we're actually seeing him a bit more of a team game now. Like, whereas under Lampard, Mount just really did everything, didn't he? He was always on the ball. He was always trying to do everything. But, it's just more, it feels more like a team now. So I see a lot of the comments saying like 7.5. I think I would go with 7.5 because we give Chilwell 7.5. I don't necessarily think Mount did anything better than Chilwell. I think they were both around the same. I thought they were both good, solid performances, but nothing really warrants an 8 for me out of either of them, to be honest with you. But not their fault.
Interesting. Okay, I would have given Mount the 8, or I would give Mount an 8. I think 8 is a fair rating. I see what you're saying with that, Pice, and we did probably attack more down the right because of Marcelo and also Nacho Fernandez, while compared to, was Varane in the middle or was Militao in the middle?
Varane was in the middle, Militao was on the right.
Okay. But still, Carvajal was obviously the more defensively sound fullback or wingback of theirs compared to Marcelo. So that explanation actually makes sense, which I won't lie, to this point, I haven't really thought about that much, but makes a lot of sense. But again, I think what people don't see, and I think maybe even Pies to some extent, because I think he was he almost played like an 8 today, when he kind of wasn't really properly part of the front three, and he did more of a midfielder's job. And I know he didn't get on the ball as much as some other times, but we touched on this with Kante a minute ago. Mount didn't lose the balls in those crazy dangerous positions, or not dangerous positions, but when carrying the ball up the pitch, he didn't. He released it quickly enough and made sure he didn't lose it. He had one shot that would have gone on goal, forced a good block. I think, wasn't it him that crossed the ball to Pulisic for the Werner miss?
I honestly can't remember. I genuinely can't remember. That's not me being obtuse. I can't remember. All I remember is the miss, man. Oh, that's going to haunt me.
I'm pretty sure it was Mount, and that I think was a very good cross, personally.
Let me check.
You go check that, and I will give him an 8 because Scott and I said 8, and then overrules. So you go check that. Yeah, you go check. No stress. And we get next to Christian Pulisic, the man who, as I said in the preview yesterday, many, many times, it was him. People are saying in the chat, brilliant. I said this many, many times. He's American. American people just have it in their blood and their DNA to turn up when it matters. It's like the whole sporting structure works this way. They have a playoff. Tom Brady has never played well in a normal game. He's only ever played well in Super Bowls and playoff games. That's just how Americans work. That's how it is, right? And that's when Pulisic, in my opinion, dropped pretty much a stinker against West Ham. He was absolutely shocking. And to me, he had it written all over it. He just wanted to make sure he's fresh when he plays Real Madrid, hence why he didn't run so much against West Ham. And that's what he showed today. Man was dribbling left, right, and centre past everybody he could find. Man scored, rounded Courtois. Man made my day. Man put Courtois the snake into a coffin and sent him all the way back to Belgium. Like, he mugged him right off. Courtois was trying to come out with his silly little spider arms and just grabbed into thin air. And I'm a big fan of this. But alongside Werner, Pulisic was also one of those that missed timed runs, did bad decisions in the final third, which cost us like one or two more other goals. Hence why I'm not giving him a 9, but maybe I should give him a 9. I'm between 8.5 and 9 because the goal is just so big. I know Scott didn't seem so convinced that the one goal is enough, but that goal is so huge to me. So for me, it's big. So I would say 8.5 or 9. Pice, you were going to say something. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I just watched the video. So Mount Crossy got deflected and then Pulisic headed it back across to Werner. So it was actually Pulisic.
Oh, yeah, no. Pulisic headed it back across.
Yeah, it was a deflected cross. So, yeah. But anyway, I just thought I mentioned that. But
someone he clearly aimed it still far post, even if it took a deflection.
Yeah, he was aiming it to Pulisic, and then it was actually a really nice knockback. So,
yeah, really good by Pulisic.
Yeah, that should have been. Yeah, as one of the comments said, 9 should have had the assist. I kind of agree with that. There was a couple of times as well. Do you remember he got absolutely taken out, I think, by Casemiro or someone?
No, Marcelo took him out when we were breaking.
It was Marcelo, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The guy is so good. Like, he has such a low center of gravity. Like, his dribbling is just... When it sticks, like, I remember, like, I said to you this last game, Laurenz, someone passes the ball to him, he tries to turn. Sometimes it doesn't stick. Like, sometimes it's not like a Porto game where he was just unstoppable. But today, it stuck. Every time he got the ball, the dribbling was just on point. So, yeah, I thought he did very, very well, to be fair.
Yeah, same. I think that he, even though he's only on the pitch for 65 minutes, I think it was, like, he was easily the biggest threat that we had in the whole game. Like, their back line couldn't handle him, and I think that's the thing. And I think the fact that it wasn't even just like it was a case of, it was only Marcelo. He had Marcelo, Nacho, Varane. He had the whole back line.
Them all on strings, including bloody Courtois.
Bro, and that's the thing. And it's like, it's not even that, the composure in that goal as well. People forget that, like, not just rounding Courtois, but having the composure to slot that right in between Nacho and Varane. Bro, I know it came off Varane's arm, but still, like, the composure, like, if that's not to hate on him, but if that's a Werner or a Tammy even maybe, or like some other players, they just hit that without any thought. They just hit that, try and get power on it. That's placed where he's put out right in the middle of it. That takes some composure. And I think it's not just a goal. I thought he had one bad pass to Werner where he overhit a little bit, and Werner had to go a bit further wide. But, like, I just thought it was all-round game today. And as I said, he's only on the pitch for 65 minutes, but I thought he was brilliant today. And as I said, like, for me, he's up there, like, with a 9 as well, not just because the goal, just because he was the only attacking threat we had, really. He just had the entire back line just completely in his back pocket, just on strings all the time. Made Militao look silly at times, made Marcelo look silly at times. So, yeah, for me, he's a 9.
I think that's fair. Sorry.
As someone said, should have had an assist.
Yeah, he should have done. Pi, sorry, I don't think you ever actually gave us a rating. Would you agree with a 9?
Yeah, I'd give him a 9, yeah.
I think that is fair. Then we get to the man who, again, did today what you're not meant to do in a Champions League final. Honestly, Timo Werner, it's a tough one. Weirdly, I'm not as angry at him today for the miss as I usually am, because we scored like 10 minutes later, and usually logic dictates if we scored a 1-0, we probably don't get the Pulisic chance. It doesn't work. Like, life just doesn't work like that. If you scored a 1-0, the Pulisic chance happens all the same. So we don't know if Werner scores, do we ever make the 2-0 through someone else? We don't know this. Hence why I'm not so angry at him. But there are so many other things where I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, the runs, the shots, half the time he was coming close when we were trying to attack. The ball, someone was carrying the ball in the middle. Pulisic or Kante half the time, right? A Mount every now and again. And Werner was cutting inside and inside and inside. And bro, go wide so they have someone to pass to, you mug. Like, what are you doing? Like, I was, and when he missed, obviously, again, because we scored not long after, I'm not that upset about it anymore. But so when he initially missed, I was shouting bad things into my apartment here. And a good thing that I wasn't doing a watch along. I'm telling you, I was not saying nice things about the man, but I didn't say it publicly, so Werner will never find out. So we're all good. But still, bro, the man, like, I was very happy with him. Pice didn't fully agree with me, but I was very happy with him against West Ham. I know he had a poor 10 minutes before he scored, but I thought he was brilliant the first half hour, and then shocking again after his miss, sure. But I'm like, I don't know what needs to happen to that man's head or brain or mind, whatever you want to call it, but something needs to change in that guy's head. Like, you cannot keep missing that many chances. Like, it's just impossible. Like, it's impossible. And I will give Scott the floor, and then let's see whether Pice brings it back to a little bit more, what's the word? Civilized, or whether we'll go off on even more on one. But Scott,
this guy had literally the entire goal to aim for and kicked it at Courtois. The entire goal and kicked it at Courtois. And as you said, it's not even just a miss. Like, he had a chance where he was one-on-one with Varane and he spooned it wide. There was the chance in the second half where he turned, and it's like any striker, you collect it, turn, shoot first time. He got it, turned, took a touch, paused, went to shoot, paused, shot, and it got blocked. And it's like, it's his decision making in this game was genuinely awful. Genuinely awful. Like, I have no words. Like, I just don't know what to say. Like, it was awful, and it's like some of the runs he made were all right, were good, and people weren't finding him. But then it's like, I don't blame him for when you're fucking missing chances like the one you did. Like, it's easy stuff as well. Like, I don't even rate Tammy. I don't rate him at all. But Tammy scores that. That's the one thing I'll say about Tammy, is he scores that. And
Tammy also scores one that Kai didn't score later. Kai didn't even get to it. And I'm very convinced that Tammy does. But we'll get to that when we talk about Kai. Keep going, sorry.
I just don't know what to say. Like this, I try and defend Werner so much because I think there's a good player in there. I think that he can come good, but he really, really is testing my patience and is really testing that theory. Because, like, I tried defending him before the Porto game and it was terrible then. I've tried defending him before this game and it was dreadful here. It was horrible. And as I said, it's not just a miss. His all-round game was awful. And I'd probably give him... I'm not getting... It's a 2, probably. And it's not more than a 2.
Yeah, I don't think you're that wrong. But Pice, what about you? And we'll get to Mr. Palito's super chat just after that. But Pice, what about you? What did you make of Werner today?
Yeah, I mean, just I'm gonna say I think he was dreadful. But to be honest, I've kind of gone past that stage where I get really, really annoyed after games with him now because I just don't expect anything. So when he actually does something right, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm like more happy, if you get what I mean. I just kind of given up with him. Similar kind of thing with Morata. I was kind of similar with Morata in the end. It's just I want to like him because his mentality is good and he never stops trying. But man, that doesn't mean sod all if we get knocked out next leg because you missed a very, very big chance in the first leg that could have made it completely different. Yeah, I mean, as Scott said for Kante, I want to ask Scott this because you said like Kante was good, but obviously his final pass was bad. Well, you know, Werner was bad, and his job, which he didn't do, is supposed to do is score a goal, and he didn't bloody score the goal. So
well, that's why he gave Werner a 2, and Kante he wanted to give an 8.5. So you know,
yeah, but
I think we need in terms of like playing him through. I think I'd say the thing with me is like as a player, you still want Kante to make that pass, because at the end of the day, you can't have players just not passing to a player because they're not scoring, because that just puts out the whole harmony of the team. That puts out the whole game plan. If you've got a player in your team that you're not passing to because you don't rate him, then like that just doesn't work. You still need to pass him the ball, because then at the very least, as I said, like just from a selfish standpoint, and I know Kante isn't going to be thinking like this, but just from a selfish standpoint, if you pass him the ball, you've done everything you can. Nothing that happens then is on you. Like, you can't be blamed for anything. You've given him the ball. You've done as much as you can. Like, if he misses, it's all on him. But now, like with that through ball he had the chance for and a couple of others, like everyone's going, oh, you could have played him in there. But like, we're not talking about Werner missing. We're like, you could have played him in there. So that's why I'd say you should still play the pass and still play him in, because then it's just on him as a player and it's on him
But
Werner
then,
to do what he can do.
Scott, would you see the argument that people could come back and say, well, Kante's job is just to break things up? He's not. We're trying to add basically extra attributes onto him, which clearly we know he doesn't have. So why?
No. In this system, that's not just his job. And if that was just his job, he shouldn't be playing.
I would say as well is we've seen, though, as I said, we've seen he can make these passes, and it's a 5-yard pass. Like the ball to Werner is not difficult. It's really not that difficult. It's just a pass through. It's a through ball. It's like when I'm seeing Rudiger hitting inch perfect over the top ball to Pulisic, I've got to expect my midfield to be able to play short passes. If that was a long ball, then we're having a completely different conversation. But it's a really simple pass, and that's why I'm like, as a midfielder, regardless of if you're a DM, an attacking midfielder, a centre mid, we get on Kovacic for the same thing or with the shooting, and this guy started as a cam. So if we're getting on Kovacic for that, we've got to get on Kante for it as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird because Scott said it like that about Kante, and maybe he even sounded harsher than he meant it himself, because he still wanted to give him an 8.5. It's not like he wanted to give him a 6 because of it. So, like, do you know what I mean? But Pies, just quickly, what rating would you give Werner? And then I'll let you just finish explaining yourself, Scott.
I don't know, like something really low, like probably like a 1 or a 2. As well, I don't know if you guys have seen. I wanted to mention this. Have you guys seen Thiago Silva's wife's story? What she said about Werner?
Oh,
no,
God,
what she said?
Basically, she went off on one, and she said, she was like, "This is karma, guys. Every team I go to, there's a striker that keep missing goals. What's this Werner's guy name? Is it Verme, which in Portuguese means worm?" And she said, "We need to score a goal. We need to win this match. My attackers don't want to score. I don't know why they don't score." So she basically called Werner a worm in Portuguese and took the piss out of his name.
I'm trying to hang on. What's shown about every team that my husband's been at has had a bad striker? PSG didn't.
Well, you know, Cavani had his days where he missed every big chance he ever had.
I think.
Yeah, but then
Cavani,
like they also had Icardi turned up, Mbappe, Ibrahimovic. Like,
well, she thinks she's got a curse, and it's karma. Apparently, it's her fault. But then
maybe she's talking about bloody Fred at the World Cup, their striker as well.
Oh, freaking Jesus, he's still playing.
But basically, she called Werner a worm in Portuguese, which was a bit mad.
I think it's a bit harsh, but I'm a big fan of Thiago Silva's wife. I'm a big fan that just this wife of this player that turned up last summer seems to be a bigger fan than half of our actual players. Like, she cares more that we actually do something than bloody Marcus Alonso does.
She's
crazy. Say that again, bro. Say that again.
I just said she's crazy. Like, her passion for Chelsea's mad.
I love it. I'm a big fan. Okay, so Pies said 1 or 2. Scott said 2. I would have said 3, just because I think 2. He still did run around. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I don't care.
For example, he's sub for 50. No. But hold up. I've seen him do worse. When he came on against Leeds for 20 minutes, he didn't even run around. So that's what I wanted to give him a 0, and everyone had a go at me. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, at least he did that today. So I'll give him that credit. So all in all, did we give him then the 2.5, 2? Depends on how strongly you feel towards the 1 point.
2, man. Like, if we're giving Azpi a 4.5, and he like wasn't terrible. Well, he was bad, but he wasn't terrible. Werner's got to get like a 2 because he was
all right. Off you go then.
Woeful.
Off you go then. But ladies and gentlemen, I will get to Mr. Palito's super chat in literally half a second, and then we'll get to the to substitutes, which we only have 3 of anyway, but even though we had 5 available. But anyways, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. We have nearly 200 people watching. Massively appreciate that. I know it's late. Wherever you are in the world, it's probably late, unless you're in America, I suppose, or South America. But regardless, if you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. We're getting ever so closer to 10,000 subscribers, just over 500 subs away at this point. So everyone that's here right now, go down below, hit that big red subscribe button. And, I'd massively appreciate that. Make sure you smash the like button as well, because we definitely don't have anywhere near enough likes, considering we have 200 people watching. And we only have 57 likes. Come on, guys. Go down below. Let's get at least 100 likes right now. Go down below, smash the like button. The least you can do, honestly. And if you fancy it like Mr. Polito's way and you want to, use the super chat, do so. But let's get to that quickly. He just basically added a couple of things of what we discussed a minute ago, saying Pulisic was good, near man of the match, but played 70 minutes, so he goes with Kante, which is a fair reason, to be honest. Didn't play the full game. Can't hold the Marcelo not closing Marcelo down. Against him, Kante, in this sense, if 1.5 of your centre-backs, in brackets Aspi, loses out on headers against Casemiro. Again, of course, Aspi should have done better, but I think you also have to accept that Casemiro is also very good in the air. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't run around saying the defenders are shit when Giroud wins a header against them. Casemiro is very good in the air. But regardless, I appreciate the donation, and I think you're right. I think our ratings suggest a similar thing as well. If anyone has anything to add, otherwise we'll go to the subs.
Nope.
Good. Let's go to the subs. I'm not sure really which order we should do them in. I just wrote them down that way because Ziyech was the first sub last time out. But obviously they all came on at the same time in the 66th minute, which, to be honest, in Thomas Tuchel terms, was actually quite early, because usually he's actually much later than that with his subs, which I find very disappointing and very annoying very often, right? But let's get to the subs. And it's weird because when they initially came on for the first 5 or 10 minutes after, we did a completely different team, because we slowed down a bit. We didn't really try to go forward much at the start of the second half. Like, it was kind of like Scott touched at the very beginning. The second half, just nothing happened. Or was it Pies? I can't remember. But it was just a dead game, like a super boring game. It's like they all got a bit cold in the first half with all that rain. So it took them a while to get back into it in the second half. But when we made those subs for 10 minutes, Real Madrid turned into Burnley and we passed around them as if we're bloody Barcelona tiki-taka. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was crazy. We didn't get into the box, mind you, other than when Mount tried to twist himself around and then had the shot blocked. But I still think the subs were pretty decent. I mean, I thought James gave us extra stability defensively compared to Aspi. I thought Ziyech actually brought something. Ziyech was taking on shots. Ziyech was trying to cross the ball from positions which, before him on the pitch, no one even tried.
Mm-hmm.
And Havertz, other than those first 5 to 10 minutes when he came on, I barely noticed him. Other than that one cross by Ziyech, and that's the other thing I would give Tammy. Havertz didn't even get on the end of it. I guarantee that if Tammy plays, because he's just got that tap-in instinct, he gets there, he gets to that Ziyech cross and just taps it in. Because those are the goals Tammy scores. Tammy won't score you wonder goals like Giroud. No, he won't. We know that. But Tammy will score you those tap-ins. And he scores the one that Werner missed, and I guarantee he gets to the one that Tammy just about didn't get on the end of. But in terms of ratings, Hakim Ziyech, I don't know. I think it was pretty good. Obviously, we only judge his 25 minutes on the pitch, but I think it was good. I would give him a 7.5. I don't know, anything higher seems a bit harsh when you only play 20 minutes. But still, I think 7.5. I think he did good. I think he did good. Played more dangerous balls than pretty much anyone else on the pitch, to be honest. Maybe aside from Pulisic. But Pies, what about you? What would you give Hakim?
Yeah, something similar, to be fair. I mean, I really liked his work rate. Something I always look at in subs, see if they're, if they're up for it. If they're not, they shouldn't have come on anyway. So I think his attitude was good. Yeah, look, a couple of nice flicks, was good on the ball. And I think we just looked a lot more fresher when all the subs came on. It was good by Tuchel to do it at that time, because you could just tell the intensity was just dropping off a little bit. So those subs were a really good time, and Ziyech was good. He's had a couple of good cameo performances now. I think West Ham, he was really good as well. Couple unlucky, as I said, to get, to not be passed to twice, which he probably would have scored twice. So, yeah, I think Ziyech will have a really good game at the weekend if he plays, because I think he's been really good off the bench lately. So, yeah, I think 7 or 7.5 would be good, like you said. Yeah, really impressed with him at the moment.
Fair dues. Scott, what about you? You didn't seem so sure when I said it, but which way did you not seem so sure about it?
I would probably say 7 for Ziyech and then 6 for the other two, just because I don't think it wasn't necessarily their fault, but I don't think they had enough time to really do a lot. Plus, with how the game was anyway, like it wasn't an open game. It wasn't really a game where you could do a lot, like you could get chances and whatnot. I thought Ziyech did well. That's why I'd say he gets the 1 rating above. And he was the one really, because when Pulisic came off, you were like, I don't know about you, but I was a bit worried as to who was going to be the driving force. And then Ziyech turned out to be that player, which I think was a bit of a surprise. But yeah, I think Havertz again was like decent in terms of picking up spaces in the box, but didn't really get much of the ball, which again I don't think necessarily was a lot of his fault. It's just of how Real Madrid set up after he came on and whatnot. And then, yeah, James, as you said, offered us defensive solidity, which Azpi didn't as much, but then like didn't do too much going forward. But again, I don't think that's on him. It's how Real Madrid set up and it's how the game was in general. But that's why I'd probably say both of them would get a 6, and then Ziyech just that 1 rating higher, just because he at least drove at the Real Madrid defense, offered us a bit more. Did he win the free kick? No, that was Havertz the one the free kick.
Havertz won it and then Ziyech hit it. Yeah.
But yeah, I think Ziyech was the bit more of the explosive. But yeah, so that's why I'd say he gets a 7 and the other two get a 6.
I'd probably say 7.5 and 6.5, but I think in general to have them a point difference is probably fair. But Pice, you said 7 or 7.5 for Ziyech. What would you say for the other two then?
I'll do what you said. I think Ziyech 7.5 and then the others 6.5 or both 7s, because I thought all subs were really good. And I mean, it's hard to judge. I mean, impact, yes, you have to factor that in, but I think they all made impact in different ways. I mean, in terms of the pressing was good. You know, they clearly listened to the instructions. I think they were all good on the ball. Thought James was really good as well. He won a couple of decent tackles. So yeah, I'm happy with the subs today.
I think you could make a case, even though it feels a bit harsh on Havertz, to give Ziyech 7.5, James 7, and Havertz 6.5, because I think Reece still gave us a significant amount of extra stability defensively that I just didn't feel we had without him or when Azpi was on. And in terms of having an impact as a sub, which is his job, I think he had a significant impact. What would we say if we gave them 6.5, 7, 7.5? Would we have massive disagreements with that? Unfair on Kai, or would we be okay with that too?
Saying that, Laurenz, you said like about James' defensive solidity. I do agree, but I remember one situation as well where Havertz ran all the way back and actually won a tackle against Hazard, which was, I think he was ahead of Reece. So
True.
I think they both did really well in defence.
Yeah. I don't think they with where they were playing and what they were tasked to do, I don't think there was much difference in how they played. Like, you're going to get more defensive solidity from Reece, but that's because he's a defender. And equally, I thought Havertz did enough. He did as much as Reece did defensively in the attacking sense. Just like with the drive, as I said, that got us the free kick that Ziyech took, with just little movements here and there, the pockets of space he was picking up, which Werner wasn't when he was on. So I think that, yeah, I think there's not too much between him and James, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should give them 7, 7.5. I don't know. Let's just leave it at that. It's just sub appearances. Like, let's not lose too much time talking about subs which played for 20 minutes. Very interesting by Milos, the comments here, obviously in German. He still has a lot of faith in Timo Werner, clearly. Talking about 28 goals in the Bundesliga. It will come in England as well. I'm like, I wish I had that confidence, bro, but I'm losing it. Day by day by day, I'm losing it a tiny bit more. Then a West Ham game happens. I get some back. And then today happens and it's all gone again. So, you know, it's one of those. And then I suppose we get to Mr. Thomas Tuchel, who, at the end of the day, again, I can only ever say what I keep saying and what I said at the start. Think back to where we were in January and where we are right now. And anyone that says that's not 99% down to Tuchel is lying to themselves. Because the players were the same players before. Not always pick the same players, fair enough, but still. Look at what we're doing with this squad right now. 4 months ago, we were saying we need to sell pretty much the entire squad because they're all shit. Now they took us to a Champions League semi-final and we're going to the second leg with at least the away goal advantage. How much you want to read into that different scenario. But just by the rules, we are by a tad in the advantage. But we also all agreed that he got the lineup slightly wrong today, especially with Azpi. So, do we say an 8 Still a high rating.
Nah, higher.
Even with Azpi.
Yeah, what I would say is I
thought you was going to go lower than me. I thought I was being generous with 8.
No. Tuchel did a tactical masterclass today. I thought he was very good. And I think I would go I would have gone like a 9.5, but then the Azpi thing, I would have knocked it down a little bit just because I didn't really agree with that. So I think overall for me, I'll just put my rating in there. I'll go with a 9 because I thought we did very well. I thought we played very well. I thought we defended very well. I thought he got the timing of the substitution spot on. 10 minutes later, and I would have probably knocked another 0.5 off because I was even saying, to my family that I was watching with, I was saying, we should bring subs on like right now in the next 5 minutes, and he did it. So I was like, okay, fair enough. So I think he got everything spot on apart from the Azpi thing, which clearly didn't work out. But then again, he did sub on James, so I only have to give him a very high rating because if Werner doesn't miss that chance as well, he can't control the players. Like in terms of a managerial standpoint,
he couldn't have started Werner, I suppose. It's not like Werner missing chances is the biggest surprise of the century.
But then again, Laurenz, if you're the manager and you want to build confidence as a player, I can understand why he started him after West Ham. Like, even though the fans may agree with it, I can just see why he did that because, if he scores against West Ham, you bench him, he's probably going to even have less confidence. So I can, as much as I hate that he started, I'm not knocking points off for that because I can see why a manager would do that. So in terms of a managerial standpoint, I'd have to give him like a 9 because I think he did pretty much everything right apart from the one thing with Azpi.
I would say as well, like him playing Werner was the right option in terms of the way Real Madrid played in the first half. Like, because they gave you space over the top. They gave you space to run into, and that's what Werner thrives on. It's not necessarily his fault that Werner can't finish genuinely anything. Like, he can't finish a sentence, man. It's bad. But, so I didn't know what to rate him, but I'd probably agree with Pice because I think the Azpilicueta thing was bad, but I don't think it wasn't... Him playing in this game wasn't as bad as how he was against West Ham when he was genuinely dreadful. And he caught out a lot. I don't think it was as bad as that. It wasn't the right option, but I don't think it was as bad as that. And I think that Werner playing made sense at the time and still, even afterwards, made sense in terms of how they set up. It's just him missing chances is obviously why people were saying he shouldn't have played. But yeah, apart from that, he didn't get anything wrong. The subs, the only problem I have with the subs is that Pulisic came off, but with how much he's been playing recently, I do understand. But yeah, so I think a 9's fair because it wasn't it was a near perfect game, but there were a couple of small things here and there that kind of like knocked a rating off.
It's a weird one because Laurenz,
quickly add something as well before you decide.
Go on.
So I forgot to mention this in my rating, but Nizar Kinsella reported that Tuchel admitted after the game that he prepared these last 2 days for a 4-3-3 formation. But obviously, because they went to a 3-5-2, he had a quick pep talk with everyone in the dressing room once he found out, and basically he had to obviously change the game plan, the whole game plan and the structure. So maybe factor that into your rating because I mean to do that and still come out with a performance when you've been preparing for something completely different didn't throw him off. I think that's quite smart coaching in my opinion.
That is a fair point. Maybe that will give him an 8.5 in my books. Then let me just explain why I would still prefer to stick to an 8 because you say the Azpi thing wasn't as bad. Fine, we all agree that he basically cost us the goal though by not winning that header. And Pice was very adamant that Reece James would win that header. Now, how different would this situation be currently if we didn't draw 1-1 but won 1-0? Right, that is significant. And while I agreed with the timing of the subs, I don't like the front three of Mount, Kai, Ziyech, because to me that's just playing 3 10s, and that doesn't work. I saw that against Leeds once. Maybe we need to give it more of a chance. But we saw that against Leeds once, didn't work at all. Because initially we saw Ziyech and James getting ready. I was very pleased with that. I was happy with that. I thought that made a lot of sense. But then I saw Kion coming on as well. I'm like, no, it doesn't make so much sense. Fair enough if Pulisic wasn't fit enough to keep playing, but I would have brought Tammy on then. I don't think we should have brought Ziyech and Kion. You either bring on Kai and, I don't know, Callum, or you bring on Ziyech and Tammy for me. Obviously, it's a hindsight game, and Tuchel does what he does. Fair enough. But I think the Azpi one and that, I think we could have won the game today. And yeah, he can't control the players, but I think we could, like I said, I think Tammy gets on the end of that Ziyech cross and Kai didn't. So that's also one that could have won us the game. So I'd be okay with giving him an 8.5 because you guys seem very adamant on your 9. So maybe my 8 is a bit harsh, but I still think a 9 is a bit, when we all agree that he shouldn't have started Azpi and Azpi cost us the goal, is a bit, I'm like, where's a 9 coming from? Sorry.
I'll be interested to know what the chat think as well. Because
they said it a minute ago. A lot of 9s, 9.5, 10. I mean, people are clearly going higher than me, to be fair. But okay, I'll give it to the chat then. I'll give it to the chat and I'll give him the 9. Fair enough. But remember, I would have given an 8. And I quickly want to highlight this comment because Ali Reza is not happy with us in the slightest. Werner 2, Azpi the captain 7.5. Now, 2 things. Ali Reza, being captain doesn't give you extra points. That's not how it works, right? So, that's irrelevant. I agree. I think we could have given him a 5, but it's a compromise. When we have guests, we find a compromise. And Python and Scott really didn't like Azpi's performance. And Werner, bro, what are we giving ratings for then? Like, if you say, I mean, yeah, I would have probably edged it to a 3, but you probably would have had the same complaints at a 3 as well. Like, what do we give ratings for here?
I was going to say, like, Werner cost us the game. If he scores that, we're taking 2 away goals. We're winning 2-1, going back to the bridge. Number 2, Azpi is at fault for the goal. He gets beaten. We can say that Casemiro is good in the air, but he gets beaten far too easily. He doesn't put Casemiro under any pressure. And as well, the whole point of playing right wing back, regardless of whether you're playing a defensive system or an attacking system, you have to offer something in both areas. Going forward, he offered nothing. Not necessarily his fault because of how he is as a player, but we've got to rate it on what we see. So going forward, he offered nothing, bar the one weird run he made that Jorginho didn't spot, but I don't know why he was making that run in the first place. Don't know why. And then defensively, he was okay, but there were a few times where Vinicius or Marcelo were getting around him. So that's why it's a 4.5.
I mean, I still don't agree on the Werner thing that he cost us the game because, again, who knows if we scored a second goal, if his goes in. I think Tuchel playing Azpi cost us the win more than Werner missing the sitter. Just by that logic.
I think the tie's over if Werner scores, to be honest.
That's the thing. Like, we can say that Pulisic doesn't get that chance.
Sorry, guys, but explain to me how are you certain that we score a second goal after the Werner goal?
Because of momentum, we would have had more confidence as well. So
but we had the confidence like 7 minutes later when Pulisic scored and we didn't get another goal. So there's never a guarantee, surely.
You can see that, again, our final balls weren't the best. And I think that's the thing where we may... If Werner scores there, we may not get the Pulisic chance, but I still feel we get another 2 actual proper clear-cut chances that we can score. That's where I'd say the tie's over, because if you notice, when after Pulisic scored, didn't really have any other chance. Like we every time we got into the attacking third, the final ball was poor, and then we got that corner that they went down the other end, got a corner off, and then scored. So that's where I'd say Werner's potentially cost us, not necessarily because we would have got the Pulisic chance as well, but just because. It was 10 minutes in? Like, it was really early in. So if we scored at 10 minutes in, all of a sudden Real Madrid then have got to completely change stuff up. Whereas, when did Pulisic score? A minute. 14. So that's only like 4 minutes later. But even so, like, I felt as though Werner scoring definitely would have helped us. And I think him missing, maybe cost us the ties, maybe a bit harsh, but it's still... could lead to us going out. It could have an effect on us in the second leg.
It definitely could. No, 100%. I agree with that. And like I said, I wouldn't have given him a 5 now, would I? I just would have said maybe 3. But I definitely, and that's me, and people know how much I hate on Timo Werner usually. Someone actually put in the comments a minute ago, Mason Payne, saying team overall rating, which we haven't done before, but I thought it's actually a good idea. Let's start doing that. unless we have 5 subs in the Champions League game, because I only have 200 character space to type all of this out. So, and we're currently at 197. So, if we had more subs, we'd be struggling here. But anyway, we have the possibilities today. So, what about an overall rating, Pice? What about an overall performance rating?
Oh, this is difficult because the thing is though, like, I don't think it was the perfect performance, because a perfect performance we would have won. But then again, in many ways it was, because we got the away goal and we didn't lose. So like, it's very hard. Like, it's perfect, but it wasn't perfect at the same time. So maybe like a 9, something like that, because I thought it was very, very good. In some ways, it's perfect because we get the away goal, we don't lose. But then in other ways, it's not, because we had so many attacks and we wasn't clinical enough, and some individuals let us down. But in terms of a whole team, I thought we were very good. So it either has to be a 9 or a 9.5 for me.
Oh, that's a bit high for me personally. But Scott, what about you?
I don't know how I'd rate this, because I agree that getting the away goal was good, but not winning the game, I think, is a very big worry. I think that the way we played, just in terms of the eye test, like, was good in the first half. Second half dropped a little bit, but Pice is gone. Dropped a little bit, but I don't think that was. I think some of that was the way Real Madrid played as well, and I think that was just how the game went. Like, it's progressed. I don't know how to rate this, because we only let 1 goal in and we only let 1 shot on target in, but we still conceded, and it was still a draw. I'd probably go an 8 for me, just because, as I said, it was a draw. We did concede. We only got the 1 away goal. I still worry about us in the reverse leg, so I think you have to take that into account.
You said 8, didn't you?
8, yeah.
I'll give you something interesting now, and let's hope Pice comes back in a second. I just quickly added up all of our individual player ratings plus Tuchel and divided it by 15. That comes out at 7.28. So 7.3, basically. And I was somewhere between a 7.5 and an 8 for the overall rating. I think saying 9 when you draw the game, and if it was a 3-3 draw, I'd agree on a 9. But a 1-1 draw, I think 9 is way too high.
Because the thing is I've said this before, we will. I don't always like making like absolutes, like this will happen, but we will not keep Real Madrid out. We couldn't do it with Porto. We didn't do it with Porto.
No, we didn't. But that wasn't a defeat.
People can say what they want in terms of it was a great goal, but it comes from one mistake. It comes from Chilwell pressing when he should have just stayed in line. They then beat the press and scored from that. So all it takes is 1. And again, their goal today just comes from a mistake and a bit of brilliance. And that's where I'm like, if they get that bit of brilliance, they score, the away goal means nothing. And then it's like, we have to score, and I think we will, but then it's 1-1 and it's 2-2 on aggregate, and it goes to penalties and everything. So I think that just because we only got the 1 away goal, I don't really think you can give it a 9. I think, as you said, if it was a 3-3 where we've got 3 away goals and you're fairly confident you can keep Madrid from scoring 3, then it's a different story. But I think it being 1-1 and very, very finely poised, I don't really think you can give that a 9.
That is fair enough. Pice, just quickly, because I just told Scott a second ago, I added up all our individual player ratings plus Tuchel and divided it by 15, which is how many players ratings there are. Comes out at 7.28, so 7.3. And mind you, I did try to push you guys for higher ratings most of the time. So, you guys are actually a bit lower with the ratings on a lot of these occasions. So, personally, myself and Scott, I don't think you can give a 9 for a 1-1 draw. I don't see it. I would have been at a 7. Sorry, go on.
I don't know though, man, because it's context. Like, it's a 2-legged, like maybe in a one-off, but like, I don't know, like it's 2-legged, and that away goal could be so important. So, we could be sitting back here next week saying, bloody hell, that away goal was just massive. So, and I think it will be because.
But it will only be massive if we do well enough next week.
Yeah, it will only be massive if Real Madrid don't score, and if Real Madrid don't score, then we're through anyway. Like that's the thing. Like
I know good are really good, and I know they will pose a threat. But let's just take a look at Stamford Bridge as well on our record. 8 out of 9 clean sheets at Stamford Bridge. Like I'm sure we can do it. Like I'm more confident now than I was before tonight, and that's saying something for me. Like I'm sure we can do it.
I don't know, man. Just with who they've got.
I agree with Pice on this. I am confident that we will go through, but I still don't think today is a 9. I would personally.
Wait, so
I would
Scott,
give it
do
an
you
8.
not think, Scott? Do you not think that we will score next week then?
I think we'll score, but I think we'll concede. That's the thing, because we conceded tonight, and this was a Real Madrid team, as I said, not in their natural formation, not fully fit in terms of who they
But
had.
that's their own problem, not playing in their
I
natural
know, but
formation.
that's what I'm saying. Like that, but that's what I'm saying. That they went in their natural formation like the last 10, 15 minutes because they wanted to score, because they realized that a 1-1 draw doesn't really, like, it helps them in a sense, but it also doesn't help them. Like they wanted to nick it. But that's where I'd say.
Wait, we have Ty in the chat.
But that's where I'd say, like, if in that game next week they'll have Mendy back, they'll have Valverde back potentially have Ramos back.
Would Valverde even start?
Possibly, he might not start. He might not start, but he will come in, and he's that type of player we've got, like a Kovacic, where he will drive the ball up the pitch, and he's got a better final ball and a final pass than Kovacic. And those type of players, those type of players late on in games are very key, because that's later on in games when players get tired, more space opens up, and it's easier to get past players. And that's where I say, even with like just going like a 3 up top instead of a 2 up top can have a big effect, because then you're overloading the defense a bit more and you're isolating certain defenders. Like tonight, they couldn't isolate anyone because it was a 2 against 3. So that's where I'm like, if they had this same team, like everyone that was out tonight is out next week, I'd feel different. But having the people they've got back, like Mr. Polito's way says, Mendy is a big thing for them. He was immense against Liverpool. He's a big outlet for them. And having him instead of Marcelo means you don't have to play 3 at the back, which means you play a 4-3-3, which means you play with 3 attackers, which means you have more attacking impetus. That's where I worry.
Which also means they leave more spaces in behind, though, than they did, especially in the second half.
True, but then we go back to, if Ramos is back, he then fills those spaces. He is then less rash than Militao, who was decent tonight.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see whether Ramos is back. Of course, like you make fair points there, but I still think, I know you say, they were missing this and they were missing that. Our forwards, aside from maybe Pulisic, were so far away from their maximum. We could have scored 4 goals today, and the same, like, we can score 2 goals next week. And we're good defensively. Like, I think we're, just because of the name Real Madrid and the name of a lot of these players, Valverde isn't the Valverde he was last season either. And, Mendy has good games, but Mendy has also had absolute shockers of, games this season. Like, a lot of Real Madrid fans that I spoke to on Twitter and stuff, they were like, yeah, Mendy's either a 10 out of 10 or he's like a 5. And, you never know which one you're going to get, kind of thing, which is a bit of a problem. I'm confident, but I still don't think that we can give it a 9 today. We can't sit here and say we should have won and scored 2 or 3 goals and then give it a 9 at the end. I don't think that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But, again, I don't know if Pice might be taking it a little bit harshly or whatever, but we're still giving it an 8, bro. We're not dropping like a 6.
It's still a good performance, and let's not forget, like, this is the same team that turned Liverpool over. This is the same team that, like, have won
Liverpool are in
whatever it is.
them over too.
But they've won, like, 13 Champions Leagues or whatever it is. I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
Like, this is a good, like, and even with, they're not what they were, but they're still a good team. They've still got very good players. They've got Varane, Benzema. Vinicius is underrated. He's a bit rash at times, but he's still a decent player. That midfield, Carvajal's still a good player. Marcelo's good in areas, just like the legs are gone. So it's still a good team, to be fair. And the fact that we were, I don't know if I'd say we're the better team across the whole game, but we were certainly better in large parts. Like that first half, we were the better team, definitely.
Yeah. Overall, you'd probably say we were the better team. Not by maybe as clear as some people try to point it out, but we were still the better team. It's always tough to judge because we were so close on transition moments if the final pass is there, but then we still don't know does the guy actually score. It's one of those. Like I said, I still think a 8 is a very high rating of performance away at Real Madrid. You know, again, we're not trying to lower the formation at all today. And Real Madrid were playing with one forward today because they were scared of us. That's why you didn't have to. No one forced you to do that. No one forced you to only start Benzema and Vinicius. You could have started Rodrigo. You could have started Asensio. You could have started Hazard, maybe. I don't know. You could have started Isco. You could have started all of these players. But you chose not to. And that's on Zidane. Don't have a go at us for that, Mini Ronaldo. Have a go at your manager for that. But anyways, we're going to leave it here. We've been going for over an hour and a half. I really do appreciate every single one of you that has tuned in. Brilliant night. Big night. For Chelsea Football Club. Hopefully we can get the job done next week and book that final in the Champions League. Well, just book that place in the Champions League final in Istanbul on May 29th. What a time we're having at the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like I said, we're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. So the more of you that get subscribed immediately, the quicker we can get there. So please do so. Smash the like button if you haven't already. Become a member if you fancy that. There's a join button underneath if you're on desktop or a link in the description if you're on your phone. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Thank you to Pys for coming on. Thank you to Scott for coming on. Check out both of them on Twitter down in the description below. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, upwards and onwards. And I'll see you next time.